Hello students, I welcome you to Time Classes. This is a special discussion of the English language section of IBPS RRB Clerk Office Assistant Mains mock test we conducted recently. The reference number as you can see here is MT2042061. I hope you have taken the test, and this discussion or such discussions obviously will help you clarify your doubts if any. But apart from that, such discussions will also help you identify your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so let us get started. The first set of questions is RC, and the directions say, read the following passage carefully and answer the questions given below it. Fill in the blanks as directed. Some words or phrases are printed in bold to enable you to identify them quickly while answering questions related to them. Okay, so looks like one of the latest models with blanks apart from bold words. Okay, so blank model is of course one of the latest models. So let us do the usual ritual, which is read the passage in as great a detail as possible and answer the questions. Here we go. The first para says, for many, the name Patel is synonymous with the corner shop. Okay, so for many people, okay, when they think of the name Patel, okay, it is synonymous with, it is the same as, okay, the corner shop, okay, perhaps the grocery shop or something like that. That emergency port of call, okay, emergency port of call is a place where you go to in emergency. That has saved many persons bacon when the supermarket is shut. So as we guessed rightly, okay, corner shop is a grocery shop, because obviously the context seems to be that of England, okay, because bacon is a staple food in England. So okay, so why is this synonymous with a corner shop? Why is this an emergency port of call? Because it saved many people, okay, many people's bacon when the supermarket is shut. Okay, so these days only supermarkets are popular, but the author is telling us when the supermarkets were shut, okay, it is such corner shops that saved people from going hungry, okay, or not having their dinner or whatever, okay, getting their bacon. Okay, so that's why the author calls it the emergency port of call. Okay, so looks like the topic is the Patels, okay, who own such grocery shops. But then the author says, but. I told you a number of times, when we see a but or a yet or however, it means a U-turn is likely to come ahead. So you need to take care. Okay, so but forget Patel the shopkeeper and step forward Patel the self-made millionaire. Okay, so the author is now focusing not on the Patels, the shopkeepers or the grocery shop owners, but on Patels the millionaires. Okay, so Patels as millionaires seems to be the topic or focus of the passage. For if your surname is Patel, you are dashed to be a multimillionaire than if your name is Smith. So we have a blank here, obviously corresponding to question number 2, but we can guess the word here itself. So the author has introduced Patels as self-made millionaires, and then the author says if your surname is Patel, you are dashed to be multimillionaire than if your surname is Smith. So that's a comparison. Okay, so there seems to be some correlation or connection of becoming a millionaire, okay, between the Patels and the Smiths. What it is, we may understand after reading the next para. So let's do that. Dr. Philip Beresford, who compiles the annual rich list, has 37 Patels and 50 Smiths on the database of millionaires worth over 5 million pounds. As I said, obviously the context is that of British. As you may know, okay, Smith is one of the most common names in England, and the author is trying to tell, inform us about Beresford, okay, who compiles what? Who compiles annual rich list, like Forbes, rich list, etc. Mr. Beresford compiles or makes a list of the rich people in England, and on this list 37 Patels are there as against 50 Smiths. So it means 37 of the richest people in England are Patels, okay, and 50 of those are Smiths, okay. So 37 Patels, 50 Smiths. And then what does the author say? However, again another but, okay, or but like word. However, there are only around 36,000 Patels compared to 360,000 Smiths on the electoral register. So this doesn't, look like the entire country's list, maybe London or maybe some particular city's list. So there are apparently 36,000 Patels, okay, in that particular place as compared to 360,000 Smiths. So if you consider these numbers and if you know math, which I am sure you know, okay, the proportion of Patels is greater than the proportion of Smiths, right? Because 50 out of 360,000 is very small, okay, especially compared to 37 out of 36,000, okay. So, that's awesome, right? So which means Patels are more likely to be rich, okay, as compared to, Smiths. So which is what second blank should be, okay. Second blank should, suggest something like more likely, because that's the comparison made there, right? Okay. For if your surname is Patel, you are more likely to be a multimillionaire than if your name is Smith. So considering this data, okay, we can clearly say that Patels are more likely to be richer, okay, than, more likely to be a multimillionaire than a Smith. Okay, so we have, understood a few things here. The focus seems to be on Patels as millionaires, and the author is also talking about a rich list in which 37 Patels are there as compared to 50, and we have also learned that only 36,000 Patels are there in this, particular database as compared to 360,000 Smiths, which means Patels are obviously more likely to become multimillionaires, okay, than Smiths. Okay, so let's see what the next para says. Here we go. As well as 37 multimillionaires, Dr. Beresford says there are also around 500 Patel millionaires. Okay, so that list of top rich people was that of multimillionaires. Okay, which means 5 million pounds means multimillionaires. So apart from that, okay, there are also apparently 500 Patel millionaires in Britain. So the list is that of Britain. Finally, we understand that. So apart from there being 37 multimillionaires, there are 500 millionaires. Okay, so Patel seem to be making, very big in Britain. Okay, proud India. Now that it came as not that it came as any surprise to him. Okay, so not that it came as any surprise to him means he was not surprised by the list. It means it sort of, means that he expected such a thing to happen. Why is that? Okay, let's see. In fact, I think there should be more. It's just my inability to find them and put a value on them. So apart from suggesting that Patels are supposed to be rich or obviously supposed to be rich, okay, the author is saying there are more Patels, there are supposed to be more Patels on the list than there are. So he may have missed a few is what he suggests. But why does he say that Patels are supposed to be on the list? Why is he not surprised? There comes the fourth para. What does he put their success down to? Which means, okay, the author is now discussing why Patels are supposed to be rich. Why are they by default rich? Okay, what is their secret of success? Hard work, strong family solidarity, extraordinary determination, ambition to do well that goes from one generation to the other, and belief in education. So these are the secrets, okay, of success of the Patel community. The reason why they are so rich is hard work, strong family solidarity, extraordinary determination, ambition to do well, and that goes from generation to generation, and most importantly, belief in education. So these are the secrets of success of the Patel community. Another crucial factor in the Patels is apparent means obvious ability to dash a fortune. Obviously, to dash a fortune means to make a fortune. Okay, the third blank is very easy. To make a fortune or to, collect a fortune, to accumulate fortune. Wealth. Fortune means wealth. Okay, so apparent ability to dash a fortune is their reluctance to be flash with their cash. Okay, so apart from these, few secrets, there's one more reason the author mentions, which is their reluctance. Reluctance means unwillingness, okay, to be flash with their cash. Flash is like, sudden, flashing of light or something like that, right? Okay, sudden showing of something. But in this context, okay, it can only mean one thing. Considering the fact that they are very rich, and considering the fact that we are talking about the reasons for the richness, okay, here the author is talking about unwillingness, reluctance. It means spending money, because only people who don't spend money, or at least people who don't spend money, are likely to become rich, right? So reluctance to spend, flash with their cash means spend money. Okay, so they don't flash their money, they don't indulge in extravaganza. Okay, so this para basically has given us reasons as to why Patels are so rich. They hate spending money. You see, this confirms our hypothesis about flash with their cash. They hate spending their money and love saving and investing it, says Dr. Beresford. And all those combinations are millionaire making qualities. Yes, obviously, if you don't spend your money, if you always save it and focus on investing it, obviously you will become rich. That's one of the obvious secrets of success or richness. Okay, so let's see what is there in the next para. There are very few millionaire families in the wider community, who last more than a couple of generations without somebody saying, I want to take it easy and spend the money, rather than keep accumulating more investments. Okay, so there are very few millionaire families in the wider community. Okay, so maybe he is referring to the Patel community, who last more than a couple of generations without somebody saying, I want to take it easy and spend money. So basically the author is trying to say that there are very few such people in the community, whose money lasts only a couple of generations. Which means in the Patel community, the money goes on from one generation to another generation. It continues. Okay, so that's their main difference. So that's the basic difference between Patel and other communities. The solidarity of family and the single-minded pursuit of wealth creation. Single-minded pursuit means very determined, pursuit or following of money, wealth creation. Okay, rather than wealth spending, which carries on generation after generation. So this generational quality is very unique to Patel community, because usually what happens, a very rich grandpa is there, then the father is rich, but then the grandson is not so rich. This usually happens, right? We have come across so many such cases. But among the Patels, that's not the case. From generation to generation to generation, they are rich, or maybe richer and richer, because of so many various reasons mentioned by the author. According to C.B. Patel, now who is this? Editor and publisher of the weekly newspaper the Gujarat Samachar or Asian Voice. Okay, so obviously we are talking about Patels from the Gujarat, as we understand from this Gujarat Samachar. So according to C.B. Patel, the editor and publisher of the weekly newspaper the Gujarat Samachar or Asian Voice, there are in fact around 207,000 Patels in Britain. Okay, so that many Patels are there. Their original homeland is the northwest Indian state of Gujarat. Okay, so we are getting into the historical facts of the Patels, as given by Mr. C.B. Patel. Okay, so apparently their original homeland, as we already know, is northwest Indian state of Gujarat, where they settled after migrating from Punjab in 1139 AD. Okay, and towards the end of the 17th century, they acquired land rights and were given the title Patel, which means landowner. Okay, so originally they were from Punjab. They went and settled in Gujarat. Okay, where after a few centuries they were even given the title Patel, which actually means landowner. So some historical data about the Patels. Let's see what is there in the next para. By the mid-19th century, further migration had taken them to other parts of India, So we now have, Patels in almost every part of our country, even in Fiji, South Africa and the Caribbean, Britain of course, and several of its colonies. Okay, several of British colonies, including maybe Australia and such other places. Thousands more Patels arrived in Britain in the 70s, okay, which means 1970s perhaps, or obviously 1970s, from Uganda, where Idi Amin ejected all Asians. Ejected means forced them to, move out of, Uganda. So this dictator Idi Amin forced, a lot of Patels out of Uganda, who then arrived in Britain and settled there. So basically we understand that a lot of Patels are there everywhere in the world, and particularly in England. The name Patel is now the 24th most common in Britain. So many of them are there that it is one of the most common surnames in England. The community even produces its own telephone directory. So vast. It is said that there are hardly any towns in England where there are no Patels. Okay, says C.B. Patel, who is not convinced that his namesakes are the more successful than anyone else. Now, one thing C.B. Patel is not convinced about is that his namesakes means the other Patels. Okay, they are more successful than anyone else. He is not convinced about that. Why is not? Why is he not? Jewish people are richer, but they don't talk about it. So Mr. C.B. Patel believes that Jews are richer than the Patels. Okay, why is that? And why is it not known then? Because the Jews, according to him, do not talk about their richness. And he further says only we Patels are so foolish we talk about our wealth. It creates envy and jealousy in some people who are intolerant. Intolerant means people who do not tolerate others, who are impatient and who are not friendly towards others. There are many other Asian communities that are more successful. So basically Mr. C.B. Patel believes that Patels are not as rich as they are made out to be. There are much richer people like the Jews and even other Asian communities. Okay, could be Indian or could be other Asian countries who are more successful according to him. Okay, that's his, of course, view. Okay, so that's what C.B. Patel believes. Let's see. Okay, that's the end of the para. So what we basically have learnt is that the passage focuses on the Patels, the millionaire Patels. Okay, and it gives us data as to how many of the Patels are there, how more likely they are to become, rich or millionaires. It also gave, the passage also gave us the secrets of their success, okay, and how they, from generation to generation, continue to be rich. And then the passage ends with Mr. C.B. Patel's, data, which gives historical stuff about the Patels and also his opinion about Patels not being the richest community in England. Okay, so that's the para, basically fact-based. Not a very critically difficult para or passage. So let us now attack the questions. According to the passage, for many, the name Patel is synonymous with a simple and direct question. I think it was in the first sentence itself. For many, the name Patel is synonymous with the corner shop. Okay, so very simple, right? So obviously the answer has to be the corner shop. Okay, so first question, the answer is 5. Okay. Let's see what the second question. Brick lane, supermarket, fish and chips, all these are obviously absurd, choices. So let's now move to the second question. Fill in the blank based on the information in the passage. Choose your answer from the choices given. Okay, so this is that second blank question. If you remember, while talking about this, we discussed, okay, the word or phrase that should go into this is more likely. And if you remember, I discussed this data. Considering this data, okay, which shows that Patels are more likely to be, multimillionaires than, the Smiths. Okay, the word or phrase that should go here into the blank should be more likely. Okay, so let's see if any of the choices says that yes. Okay, many choices seem to say that. We see more likely here, we see more likely here. Most likely is wrong because we are comparing only two entities. So most is like superlative degree, right? Requiring 3 entities, that is 3 entities. So this is wrong. Only likely Okay, is doesn't indicate comparison. More likely means comparison is involved. Because the name Smiths is involved, we need to say more likely. So 2 is also wrong. And 7 times more like, no. We are talking about likelihood of becoming or being a millionaire. Not similar to a Patel's, at an external level. Okay. See, when you talk about likelihood of happening, you better say likely. Okay. When you compare two nouns, then you say like. Okay. More likely to become. Therefore, is more correct than more like to become. I hope you got that. So 1 is wrong. Now, what is the difference between 3 and 4, which have both more likely? 7 times, 7 time. Obviously, 7 is a plural, number, which means times is the correct word. So therefore, we go with 3. Okay, so the Patels, if your surname is Patel, you are 7 times more likely to be a multimillionaire than if your name is Smith. So that's the answer, 7 times more likely. So 2, the correct answer is 3. With that, we move to the third question, which is again about a blank. If I'm not wrong, fill in the blank on the information, blah, blah. Okay, the blank is third blank. And if you remember, this is where the author was talking about the secrets of the Patels. Okay, the secrets of the Patels. Okay, what does he put their success down to? Hard work, strong family, solidarity, extraordinary determination, ambition, blah, blah, blah. And then he says another crucial factor in the Patels is apparent ability to dash a fortune. Obviously, if you remember, I discussed this. I said to make a fortune or to collect a fortune, to accumulate a fortune. Fortune means wealth. So we are looking at a synonym of make or accumulate or collect. Let's see. Allocate, no. Allocate means to it's like separating and, giving a portion to someone. Okay. Donate, obviously no. Amass, yes. Amass means to collect. Okay, so this is a synonym that we are looking for. So 3 is the possible answer. Spend is opposite, consume is opposite. Which means the third question, the correct answer has to be 3. With which we now move to the fourth question, which says, according to the passage, the success of the Patel millionaires can be put down to. Okay, this is something that we have just now read. Okay, the success can be put down to what? Hard work, strong family solidarity, extraordinary determination, ambition to do well that goes from one generation to another, and belief in education. So many, reasons are given, and they don't even spend much money. Okay, so let's see which of these reasons are given and not given. Hard work mentioned, strong family solidarity, yes. Extraordinary determination and ambition to do well, yes. And belief in education. So which means all the above, all the secrets mentioned here, okay, are given here as choices 1 to 4, which means the answer has to be option number 5. So fourth question, the correct answer is 5, with which we move to the fifth question, which says, according to the passage, which of the following means being flush with your cash? Okay, so being flush with your cash means what? So it's the meaning of this phrase that we are seeking here. And if you remember, the same para that we read just now has flush with their cash. Okay, here the author gives another reason. Apart from these reasons, another reason, okay, which is reluctance to be flush with their cash, which we understood to be spending money. Okay, they hate spending money, which is the same as they are reluctant to spend their money, or flush with their cash, which means flush with their cash actually means spending money. So what do we have? 1, spending money, which means 1 is the answer. Saving is, see, we are looking at the phrase flush with the cash, which itself by default means spending money. So reluctance with the flush with their cash means saving money. But reluctance is not given here, okay. If reluctance had been given here, okay, then we could have said saving money. But because reluctance is not mentioned along with the phrase, we reject saving money, investing money, blowing money. Blowing is ambiguous, not clear what it means. None of the above obviously is wrong. So the correct answer has to be 1, spending money. Okay, with which we now move to the sixth question. Select the word which is the most similar in meaning to the word given in bold as used in the passage, and the word we are talking about is creation, which we see here. Wealth creation. Obviously wealth creation here means wealth accumulation or wealth, management or whatever, which can result in, great wealth. So let's look at the choices. Wealth extravagance. No, extravagance actually is spending lavishly. Spending lavishly. Extravagance is the spending of money in a lavish manner. Accumulation, yes. Accumulation means making or collecting. Okay, to collect, which means two is possible. Squander again means, okay, waste or spend wastefully. Okay, waste or spend wastefully. That's what, okay, squandering means. So this cannot be the answer. Frivolity actually means lack of seriousness. Lack of seriousness. So that again is out of scope. Lavishness, as I said, is the same as extravagance. Okay, which means, excessive spending of money or excessive show of money. Okay, so they obviously are, counter to the actual meaning of creation in the context, which means the correct answer has to be 2. So 6, the correct answer is 2. With that, we move to the 7th question. According to the passage, the original homeland of the Patels is, original homeland is mentioned here. When C.B. Patel was referred to, he said their original homeland is the northwest Indian state of Gujarat. Which means the answer has to be Gujarat. Okay, which is why we have 5 as the answer. Punjab, etc. Punjab, of course, is mentioned, okay, as, place where they came from, but the passage specifically says original homeland, Gujarat. So we have to stick to what the passage says. Okay, and the question is clearly saying according to the passage. It's not like we can infer, etc. It's a fact-based question and not inference question, which means Punjab cannot be the answer. Fiji, Caribbean and Uganda are places they went to, not the original homeland of these people. So Gujarat is the answer. With that, we move to the 8th question, which says, according to the passage, the meaning of Patel is. Where is the meaning given? The meaning is given here. Again, C.B. Patel comes to mind here, who was talking about the historical facts of the Patels. After settling in Gujarat, eventually in the 17th century, they acquired land rights and were given the title Patel, which means landowner. And that's what the question is asking you. The meaning of Patel. Obviously, landowner. 2 has to be the answer. With which we now move to the 9th question. The most opposite of intolerant. Intolerant is here. Okay. While C.B. Patel was talking about, his namesakes not being that successful or as successful as the others. Okay, he tells us that Patels are very foolish and they talk about their wealth. It creates envy and jealousy in some people who are intolerant. Intolerant people are people who do not tolerate others. They don't have patience for others. Okay, they don't behave in a friendly manner with others. So we are looking for the opposite of that. So intolerant is negative, which means the opposite should be positive. Hateful means having a lot of hatred, negative. Prejudiced means having a lot of bias, okay, being very partial against somebody, again negative. Irritable means, having a tendency to get easily irritated, like, extremely old people who can be extremely, easily irritated by others. So again negative. Patient obviously is the only word which is positive and therefore can be considered for, the opposite of intolerant. Biased again is similar to prejudiced, negative. So which means the answer has to be 5, patient. Okay, so intolerant people are not patient with others. Tolerant people obviously must be patient, right? So the answer has to be 4. So 9th question, the correct answer is 4. With which we move to the 10th question, the last on this passage. According to the passage, which of the following is true? The Patels are the richest Asian community in Britain. Okay, richest Asian community. Now we see we have differing opinions. The author was talking about, or Anderson's list was talking more about, what should I say, the comparison between the rich and, the Smiths and the Patels. Okay, so there was no comparison with the others, right? Okay, so we cannot definitely conclude this. Okay, let's look at what Patel himself says. I mean CB Patel. Okay, he says CB Patel believes that Jewish people are richer but they don't talk about it. Which means there are other communities more successful than the Patels according to him. Only we Patels are so foolish, we talk about our wealth, etc. It creates envy and jealousy, blah blah blah. There are many other Asian communities that are more successful. Which means if we consider this data, we cannot say Patels are the richest Asian communities in Britain. Okay. Two Patels are the most successful Asian community, again the same. Okay, we cannot say that based on what we have just now read. So three, the Patels are not the most successful Asian community in Britain. Yes, we can say this because that's what exactly this statement means. There are many other Asian communities that are more successful, means Patels are not the most successful Asian community in Britain. So this is possible. The Patels don't talk about their wealth all the time. This is again opposite because the data clearly says Patels are so foolish and we talk about our wealth. 5 says Patels should not have a separate telephone directory. Why shouldn't they? They are obviously, entitled to such a great thing, right? So this seems to be a very opinionated and absurd choice. So we can't, go with this. So 10, the correct answer has to be 3. With that, we move to the next type of questions, which is a set of 5 questions. Let us see. In the given question, there are 5 sentences or 5 parts of a sentence numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Read the sentence or sentence parts and select from the answer options a combination that makes a coherent paragraph or sentence and mark the respective option as your answer. So we are looking at what? Para jumbles. And here's your first question. Okay. So let us do the usual, which is, read the entire para. Okay, identify the topic, theme, okay, the central idea and such other aspects of the para. And then, identify the independent sentence which can start the, paragraph. And then look for close links using which we finalize the answer. Okay. So let's see. This first sentence is 4 different regression models have been used to study the relationship between capital structure and profitability. Regression is like going back. Maybe some reverse engineering models is what this sentence seems to be talking about, but we still don't know the context. Where 4 different regression models have been used, why? Okay, they have been used to study the relationship between capital structure and profitability. Now, what is capital structure? Capital structure, I am sure you know, is the way, okay, the company, gets money. Okay, company can get money through loans or through stocks, etc. Right? So that is capital structure. Okay, so apparently 4 different regression models have been used to study the relationship between capital structure and profitability. So which capital structure gives which profitability? Is taking a loan more suitable, okay, or more profitable than, let us say, going into IPO or selling stocks, for example. So which one is more profitable? So to study that, they have had what? 4 regression models, but we still don't know the context in which this sentence should come. So this cannot begin. That much is clear. 2 says, in these models, okay, these models obviously must refer to the regression models. So which means 1 and 2 seem to have some connection. Let us explore that later. Let's put a question mark here. In these models, we study the individual effect of total debt and total equity ratios on profitability. So as I said, debt means loan, equities means shares, selling shares, okay, or stocks. Okay, so in these models, apparently the author and researchers perhaps studied the individual effect of total debt and total equity ratios on profitability, that is ROA and ROE, whatever they are. So some technical stuff is happening here. So anyway, we see a connection between 1 and 2. It looks like the para is about the connection between profitability and the way in which money is invested or money is brought in. 3 says all 4 models. Obviously, again, 3 is connected to 1 and 2. Okay, because 4 has been mentioned here. So all 4 models have been tested with pooled OLS, fixed effects and random effects. So one thing is sure, 1, 2 and 3 are connected. And we can also say the connection is 2 follows 1, because this is a very stronger link, okay, than 4. Okay, when I say 4 models and then I say these models, obviously these sentence should come immediately after the reference to 4 models. Okay, because this is something that we call demonstrative pronoun or determiner. Okay, it usually comes immediately after the noun it is referring to, which means 1 should be followed by 2 and 2 should be followed by 3. That is for sure. Okay, one link we have found here, but we still don't know the context and why it should, what is the starting of the paragraph. 4 says one of the most perplexing means confusing issues faced by finance managers is to know about the effect of capital structure on the profitability of the firm. You see, this is definitely the context provider. This is also an independent sentence. This is also introductory in nature. Okay, so what is it saying? One of the most perplexing, confusing issues, okay, faced by finance managers is to know the effect of capital structure on the profitability. So the problem that finance managers face is how are capital structures and profitability connected. Okay, this is something confusing to finance managers, and obviously 1, 2 and 3 are solving that problem, right, or answering that confusion. Okay, because apparently 4 different regression models were used to study the connection, and these models they studied individual effect, etc., using ROA, ROE, and all 4 models have been tested with pooled OLS, blah blah, some technical stuff. So basically 4 is providing the context for 1, 2, 3, context for the study of 1, 2, 3, or the mention of 1, 2, 3, which means 4 should come in the beginning and 1, 2, 3 should be together. Now the question is about 5. Let's see, the data has been analyzed and by using descriptive statistics, correlation and multiple panel data regression models. Okay, so regression models actually gets introduced here. Okay, so basically 4 tells us the context and 5 tells us, okay, what has been done, okay, to address this issue. Okay, what has been done to address that issue? Data was collected and it was analyzed by using descriptive statistics, correlation and multiple panel data regression models. So multiple types of regression models were used, and particularly, okay, 1, 2, 3 tell us 4 models were used and 2 and 3 follow, which means the only place where we can have 5 is after 4. Okay, because the primary reason for this is regression models. So if you think 5 should come out at the end of 1, 2, 3, okay, that's one possibility, of course. Okay, but then it won't make sense if you consider regression models. Moreover, do we have a choice? Like my choice is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. And another possibility is 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, so do we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 5? We don't have. So you see, that's not a sensible option. So 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 we do have. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 is there. So 21st question, the correct answer has to be 2. And with that we move to 22nd question, sorry. And 22nd question, what does it say? Again, we'll do the usual. Okay, read the whole stuff, identify, topic, theme, etc. and then do what we did earlier. 1 says the primary economic impact of any change in the government budget is felt by a particular group, by particular groups. So this sentence is trying to emphasize that the main impact, the primary impact of any change in the government budget is felt by particular groups, specific groups. A tax cut for families with children, for example, raises their disposable income. So he's giving an example also. So basically this first sentence tells us that the main impact of government's budget happens on specific groups, okay, particular groups. maybe he's trying to tell us that it doesn't have a general impact. Okay, it has a specific impact on specific group. But again, why are we talking about budget, impact, etc.? We still don't know. 2 says, when the government decides on the goods and services, okay, when the government decides on the goods and services it purchases, the transfer payment it distributes or the taxes it collects, it is engaging in fiscal policy. Okay, now, okay, why is the author talking about, this seems to be an explanation as to what fiscal policy is. Okay, so why is this fiscal policy brought in, and is this any change in the government budget, is this related to fiscal policy? Let's see that by exploring the other sentences. The term fiscal policy, okay, so we seem to be talking about fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is like the government's budgetary allocation for spending. Okay, monetary policy is how do we earn money. Fiscal policy is how do we spend money, so far as I know. Okay, so the term fiscal policy is usually used to describe the effect on the aggregate economy, on the overall levels of spending and taxation, and more particularly the gap between them. So this particularly tells us that this term fiscal policy used for the overall impact, okay, effect on the aggregate economy of the overall levels of spending, blah blah blah. Okay, so basically this is emphasizing that the term fiscal policy is used to talk about overall impact. Now if you are very specific about reading, you must understand that this particular sentence is in stark contrast with 3. 1 and 3 are completely opposite. 3 talks about overall impact, but 1 talks about felt by particular groups. For example, if we cut taxes for families with children, it will actually affect those families' disposable income, which means 1 is talking about specific impact on specific or particular groups, whereas 3 is talking about overall impact, which means 3 and 1 are different. So there seems to be something fishy happening here. Let's see. 4 says, discussions of fiscal policy, however, generally focus on the effect of changes, okay, in the government budget on the overall economy. You see, therefore, as I was saying, there's a difference between 1 and 3. Similarly, there's a difference between 1 and 4. Okay, 1 and 4 also, 3 and 4 talking about the overall impact. You see, I repeat, generally focus on the overall, effect of changes in the government budget on overall economy, which means 3 and 4 are talking about this overall impact, whereas 1 is talking about specific impact. And considering the fact that 3 has however in it, means that the contrast between 1, 3 and 4 begins with 4, which means 1 should come long before 4 and 4 should obviously be followed by 3. Why 4 should come before 3? Because 4 has however. I hope you are getting that. Okay, so 1, 4, 3 is a possible link. If something else comes in between here or not, we don't know yet. What should come in the beginning, we still don't know. Let's see. 5. Fiscal policy is the use of spending and taxation to influence the economy. Okay, you see, we have got our key sentence. This is the one that is introducing fiscal policy in general. What is fiscal policy? It is the use of spending and taxation to influence economy. Spending and taxation, the government spending and taxation to influence economy. So fiscal policy is basically related to taxation and spending, and it will have obviously, it is done in a manner that influences the economy, which means 5 should start. So 5 should start. We already know one thing, 5 should start and 1, 4, 3 should be together. The only question is that of 2. Okay, where should these 2 come? When the government decides on goods and services it purchases, the transfer payment it distributes, or the taxes it collects, it is engaging in fiscal policy. As I said, this is an elaboration of fiscal policy, which means it is elaborating on the introduction of fiscal policy, which means it should come after 5. So 5 should be followed by 2. Okay, which means 1, 4, 3 should be together because there's nothing else to put in between 1 and 4, 3. So as I said, 1 is contrasted by 4 and 3, which means 5, 2, 1, 4, 3 should be our answer. Okay, it's 52143. Where do we have that? 5. So correct answer to 22nd question is 5. With that, we move to the 23rd question. Okay, which is here. Let's see. Let's do the usual again ritual. One says portfolio analysis is the process of studying an investment portfolio. So if you know, portfolio is nothing but the list or the packet of investments etc. done by an investor in the stock market particularly. So portfolio analysis, okay, is the analysis of the investments you are doing perhaps, is the process of studying an investment portfolio to determine its appropriateness, suitability for a given investor's needs, preferences and resources. So this sentence seems to introduce what portfolio analysis is. And what is it? It is the process of studying an investment portfolio to determine whether it is suitable for a given investor's needs, preferences and resources. So there are so many people who invest in stock market, right? And they must have a portfolio. So portfolio analysis is the process of studying that portfolio to check whether it is suitable for that investor's needs, preferences and resources. Because there has to be some connection between their needs and the portfolio that they have. So this seems to be a general and introductory sentence, so possible beginner. 2 says it also. What does also tell us? Okay, and what does it tell us? That this is additional information on something that it refers to. It also evaluates the probability of meeting the goals and objectives of the given investment mandate, particularly on a risk-adjusted basis and in light of historical asset class performance, inflation and other factors. So this seems to tell us that something also evaluates, checks the value of, or checks in general the probability of meeting the goals and objectives of the given investment mandate. Okay, so again it's related to investment, maybe it's related to the investor's mandate or investor's needs, particularly on the risk adjusted basis and in light of historical asset class performance, inflation and other factors. So looks like this sentence is also about portfolio analysis, because the information given here seems to be connected to investors and their needs, which means because of it, and also we can consider this to be a follower of 1. So it means 1 and 2 seem to be crucially connected, crucial link, and because 1 is general in nature, 1, 2 together can start the paragraph, which is about obviously portfolio analysis. Let's see what 3 says. Okay, 3 says to analyze a portfolio requires knowledge of the different types of assets and their characteristics. So this is giving further information on portfolio analysis. The first 2 sentences have given us the general definition of portfolio analysis, and this is telling you the requirement. It requires knowledge of different types of assets and their characteristics. So 3 seems to follow 1, 2, and 4 says say that an investor, say that means let's say, it's like let's consider that an investor was to approach a registered investment advisor or asset management company and ask them to provide a portfolio analysis of her holdings. So this is taking an example based upon her need for capital preservation for 5 years. Let's say this is the case. And 5 says to evaluate whether her portfolio could meet the mandate. The firm would start by looking at her holdings to try to determine if those positions consist of assets that are likely to maintain volatility, that is changes in price, as well as sufficient liquidity or the ability to turn the investments into cash as needed. So obviously 4 and 5 together are giving an example of how the analysis works, how knowledge is taken and different things are considered to give her suggestions or advice. So 4, 5 together are examples. So 4, 5 should be a crucial link. Okay. And obviously 5 should come after 4. That goes without saying. Which means we have 2 crucial links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have already decided that 1, 2 should begin. Which means the answer can only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which makes the correct answer to be 1. So 23rd question, the correct answer has to be 1. Okay, with which we now move to the next question, 24th question. We do the same thing here. Warfare. Okay, it says warfare. Okay, warfare may be subdivided into a number of overlapping categories. Warfare is fighting wars, combat. So warfare may be subdivided into a number of overlapping categories, varying from feuding means fighting, among fraternal interest groups, okay, brothers, sisters, etc., and raiding into a foreign country or foreign territory. So warfare can be subdivided into various categories, is what the author says. So looks like the para is about warfare, fighting. 2 says it makes good sense to understand warfare as basically cultural encounter, both internally in a group, that is intracultural, as well as externally towards other groups, that is intercultural, and not reducible to being merely a particular form of violent collective social actions. So the author says it is more sensible to think of warfare as a cultural encounter rather than collective social action. It's not a collective thing. Okay, it's like it can happen both internally and externally, but it's not a collective social action. Okay, so the emphasis is on it not being a collective social action. So the author is talking about a further elaboration on warfare, which means this requires additional information for us to decide its place in the final order. 3 says large scale military actions and place bound battles, okay, its precise form, scale, frequency and content depend on the specific societal and cultural setting. Okay, so large scale military actions and place bound battles, its precise form, scale, frequency, content, etc., depend on specific societal and cultural settings. So this seems to be elaborating on this, right? 1 says warfare may be subdivided into a number of categories, varying from this and that. And here some examples seem to be given. Large scale military actions and place bound battles, its precise form means the warfare's precise form, scale, frequency and content depend on specific societal and cultural settings. So because of these dependencies or variations, there have to be a lot of subdivisions or overlapping categories. So 1 and 3 obviously are connected. Okay. Then 4 says rather. Okay. 4 says rather warfare is interaction, both violent and non-violent, by character and comprising phases of persuasion, agreement, planning and or cooperation, in addition to violent confrontations and very often post-war rituals. Okay, so this rather means contrast. Okay, rather warfare is an interaction. Now what does it contrast? Obviously it contrasts what is mentioned in 2. If you remember, I told you 2 is emphasizing that it is a cultural encounter and not a violent collective social action. It's not collective social action. Okay, and from cultural encounter and from these examples of intracultural and intercultural, we can understand that the author is trying to say that it is interaction. Okay, which is why this 4 makes sense after 2. So let's put 2 and 4 here. Rather, it's a warfare is an interaction, and then he elaborates on that. So 2, 4 are clearly linked. And then 5 says if warfare turns inward in the group, that is civil war or feuding, this has in effect already been fractioned, since warfare always seems to emerge from bounded social units. Okay, so even when it is considered as a civil war, which is an internal war between in a society, it is still something that emerges from small social units, is what this is emphasizing. So which means even 5 is elaborating on what 4 talked about, which means 4 should be followed by 5. So we have a clear link there. 1, 3 introductory sentences and 2, 4, 5 crucial triplet, which means the answer has to be 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. So 24th question, the correct answer is 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. With which we move to the 25th question, which again is a parajumble. So let's see what it says. Okay. Although gene therapy is a promising treatment option for a number of diseases, including inherited disorders, some types of cancer and certain viral infections, the technique remains risky and is still under study to make sure that it will be safe and effective. So looks like the para seems to be about, okay, gene therapy, and this sentence is telling us that it is still not a, what should we say, reliable treatment. Okay, it is a promising treatment, okay, but then the technique remains risky and it is still under study to make it, to check whether it is safe and effective or not. Okay, obviously, which means this sentence has to come somewhere in the middle, not definitely in the beginning. Let's see where is, gene therapy has been introduced. Okay, 2 says researchers are testing several approaches to gene therapy, including replacing a mutated gene, okay, that causes disease with a healthy copy of gene, inactivating or knocking out a mutated gene that is functioning improperly and introducing a new gene into the body to help fight a disease. Again, this is something that can come only in the middle. Okay, it is telling us what, several approaches are, being tested by researchers. Okay, researchers are testing several approaches. That's the focus of this sentence. Okay, so let's see. 3 says gene therapy, okay, is currently being tested only for diseases that have no other cures. Okay, it is being tested only for diseases. Okay, obviously this is connected to 1. 1 says, although gene therapy is a promising treatment option, promising treatment option for a number of diseases, including inherited disorder, blah blah blah, the technique is risky and it is still under study to make sure that it will be safe and effective. So this is what the risky part about gene therapy, tells us. But at the same time, 3 says gene therapy as of now is being tested only for diseases that have no other cure. So obviously, when there are no other cures, okay, we can take a little bit of risk, right? So in general, it is risky, but when it comes to diseases that have no other cure, we can consider that, which is why the author says it is being tested only for diseases, which means 1 and 3 are connected. Okay, so let's see what 4 and 5 say. Okay, 4 says gene therapy is an experimental technique that uses genes to treat or prevent diseases. Okay, this obviously is a very general statement about gene therapy, which means this can start. And 5 says in future this technique may allow doctors to treat a disorder, may allow, which means we are not yet sure. Okay, to treat a disorder by inserting a gene into a patient's cells instead of using drugs or surgery, which means 4 and 5 are general in nature. This is what gene therapy is. In future it may help us to do this. Okay, and so 4 5 are connected, so we put 4 5 together. So what about 2 then? Where should 2 come? Okay, obviously 2 should come the current status of the research. Researchers are testing several approaches, blah blah blah. And then 1 should come, which says although gene therapy is a promising treatment, there are a lot of risks involved. And then 3 says it is currently being tested only for those diseases that have no other cures, which means 4 5 should be followed by 2, and finally 1 3 should come, talking about the risks and the current ultimate status of gene therapy. So which means 4 5 2 1 3. Where do we have that? In 4. So the correct answer to 25th question has to be 4, with which we move to the next set of questions. Okay, that is 26 to 27. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention. Okay, just a point. Okay, if you remember, we after 10th question we went to 21st to 25 directly, which means questions 11 to 20 have not been discussed. That's because the closed test that we have given is very easy actually. You could, it's so easy that you could try it on your own, which is why we have, skipped it. Okay, so let's go back to our 26th set. 26 and 27 are only 2 question sets. Each of the sentences given below has 1 blank, so it's a fill in the blank set. Select the word for the blank which best fits the meaning of the sentence. So here we go. Fill in the blank questions. 26 says, the Delhi police started an anti-gun violence campaign last year aimed particularly at dash school managements and teenagers about the ill effects of gun violence. Okay, so obviously when the police starts such a campaign, it is for the better and not for the worse, right? It is for the good of the society. Okay, and so something positive is being thought about. Aimed at what then? Aimed at dash school managements, okay, and teenagers about the ill effects. So obviously aimed at informing, something like that should be the word, informing, okay, making them understand, okay, the risks, etc., ill effects of gun violence. So we're looking for a word that means informing them or making them understand the ill effects of gun violence, etc. Vibrating obviously doesn't make sense. Pulsating is like flashing or throbbing of light or something, okay, going on and off kind of stuff. Sensitizing, yes. When you say sensitize someone, okay, you are making them understand the sensitive aspects of something, or basically making them understand something, okay, making them sensitive towards such negative effects, which means 3 is possible. Stultify is to weaken, okay, it doesn't make sense in the context. Stultifying means weakening. Mollify is to soften. So softening is what this means. So it doesn't again make sense at all. So 26th question, the correct answer has to be 3. Okay, 3 is the correct answer, with which we move to 27th question, which says the dash realities of life at the top of a mountain quickly become apparent during the first winter. You see, winter is usually not pleasant, okay, from health point of view, from comfort point of view, etc. So which means we are looking at this top of the mountain in a negative light, which means what kind of realities are we talking about? Negative, uncomfortable, unpleasant realities. So the dash realities of life at the top of mountain quickly become apparent during the first winter of 1883, which means negative realities. So can harsh go? Yes. Harsh realities means the uncomfortable, the unpleasant realities of life. So 1 is possible. 2, bare means uncovered. Doesn't make sense. We don't usually say bare realities. Real realities, there is another absurd phrase. Barren means something that is uncultivable. It is used of a land or farmland usually, okay, which is uncultivable, okay, something that cannot be cultivated. A crop cannot grow there. Funny is funny, so we cannot go with that. 27th question, the correct answer obviously is 1. Okay, so with that we move to the next set of questions. 28 to 30 are wrongly spelled words. Let's look at the directions. In this question, a sentence with 4 words in bold is given. One of these words given in bold may be wrongly spelled. That word is your answer. So we are looking basically for wrongly spelled words, which is again an easy model. So let's check the first question, 28. It says, Saina first came into prominence, means importance, in 2006 as a 16-year-old when she became the first Indian woman. We are talking about Saina, only one woman. Okay, so it should be woman. So instead of women, okay, it has been wrongly, instead of woman, it has been spelled wrongly as women. Okay, so obviously the context, demands woman and not women. Very simple question. Nothing wrong with prominence, which is importance or popularity. And the youngest from Asia to win the 4-star tournament, nothing wrong there. And dash the Philippines Open, again nothing wrong with Philippines. So the answer has to be 2. 28th question, the correct answer is 2, with which we move to 29th question, which says the audience. My God, the audience is obviously an obvious misspelling. So it should actually be audience. Audience. Okay, E is missing there. So the answer has to be 1. The audience and critics say that Nayanthara delivered, no misspelling there, a measured performance, no misspelling there, with her brilliant acting, and that she has once again proved her superstar status. Again no error there, which means the correct answer to 29th question is 1. With that we move to 30th question, which says she was being constantly directed by the motives of her parents. Motives? Okay, motives means patterns. Okay, so it doesn't make sense in the context, which means it should be something else. She was constantly directed by. What could that be? It could be motives, right? Motives means intentions. Okay, so motives is the more appropriate word in this context. So this motives is wrong. So answer has to be 3. Okay, motives of her parents, relatives and her husband, and to an extent even her own children. So she is always directed by the intentions or motives, not motives. Okay, motives. So the answer has to be 3. Which means we go to the next set, which is what? Each of the following questions has 4 underlined parts which may or may not be in their correct places. Identify which of these given pairs correctly indicate the pairs of words which should be interchanged to make the sentences grammatically and meaningfully correct without changing the meaning of the sentences. If any of the given sentences is correct, it is as it is and no interchange is required, choose 5. So it is word interchange question, as you know. Okay, these underlined words, may not be in their correct place. We need to look for another underlined word as a correct replacement. So let's see. This is in the first half of the regular countries. Doesn't make sense, right? In the first half of the 17th century, makes sense. So 17th should go here in place of A, and century should go in place of B, which again means B should go in place of C and regular should come in place of D. Let's read it that way. In the first half of the 17th century, newspapers began in European countries, to appear as regular and frequent publications of news items. So perfect. So A should go in place of D, D should go in place of A, B should go in place of C, C should go in place of B, which means A, D and B, C should be our answer. And that is 2, obviously. So 31st question, the correct answer has to be 2 A, D, B, C, with which we move to 32nd question. So let's do something similar here too. For many city residents, Janata curfew was a hectic? No. Was an opportunity? Yes, possible. Was an opportunity to take a dash from, everyday what? Everyday schedule? Yes. Okay, so makes sense. So everyday schedule, or everyday hectic schedule, so everyday schedule doesn't make sense because hectic has to come in place of B, right? So which means we should look at hectic here and schedule here. Everyday time doesn't make sense, so schedule should come here, which means D actually comes in place of C, which means C should go in place of D. So let's see. For many city residents, Janata curfew was an opportunity to take dash from everyday hectic schedule and spend time with their family. Makes perfect sense. So hectic comes in place of B. So A and B interchange and time and schedule interchange, which means CD interchange. So let's read it one last time. For many city residents, Janata curfew was an opportunity to take dash from everyday hectic schedule and spend time with their family. So A, B, C, D. Where do we have A, B, C, D? Here we have. So 32, the answer has to be 1. With which we move to 33rd question. So let's see. Shimane Bank, has been the economic growth. Has been the economic growth. A bank cannot be economic growth, right? Can it be economic vicissitudes? Vicissitudes are ups and downs. The developments that happen in life. Prefecture is like a region. Heart, you know what heart is. So can Shimane Bank be the economic heart of its remote Japanese region? Yes. So that makes sense, right? Growth does not make sense. So which means we should have heart. So Shimane Bank has been the economic heart of its remote Japanese region, which means prefecture should go here. Financing local companies through the vicissitudes of war, means ups and downs, sudden developments of war, earthquake and rapid economic growth, which means A should be replaced by D, D should be replaced by A, and B, C, okay, should get interchanged. So which means, okay, we are looking for A, D, B, C or C, B, whatever. So 3 has to be the answer. So 33rd question, the answer has to be 3. With that, we move to the next question, 34th question, which says, in provincial towns across the country, bankers are looking at teetering. Teetering means, shaking declines. We don't have teetering declines. We can have relentless declines, continuous declines. So which means A, B is better placed. C is better placed in A's place. So the provincial towns across the country, bankers are looking at relentless declines, means continuous declines in their incomes, leaving dozens of teetering institutions, means shaky institutions. That makes sense. With an incentive to gamble on risky property loans or exotic investments overseas. So there is nothing wrong with declines and investments, but A and C have a problem, so 2 has to be the answer. So let's read it once again. In provincial towns across the country, bankers are looking at relentless declines in their incomes, leaving dozens of institutions with an incentive to gamble on risky property loans or exotic investments overseas. So AC should be the answer. So 34th question, the answer is 2. Let's look at 35 now. The basic banks. No. Okay. Doesn't make sense. The basic business. Yes. The basic business models for Japan's regional. Yes. That makes sense. So business should come here and model should come here. Okay. So the basic business models for Japan's regional banks. Okay. Is take deposits from local people, lend them to local businesses. Simple. Okay, so model has gone there, so local should come here. So the basic business models or model for Japan's regional banks is take deposits from the local people and lend them to local businesses. Makes perfect sense, right? So AC and BD, which means 1 has to be our answer. So 35th question, the final answer is 1. With that, we move to the next set of questions. What do we have here? Okay, given below are 5 statements, out of which only 1 is grammatically correct. Identify the correct statement. So we are looking for what? Grammatically correct statement among the given 5 statements. Which means of these 5 statements, 4 will be wrong. Only 1 will be correct. So let's see. Okay, 1 says, Odissi is a young dance form. I said young, right? Is a young. Okay, so when you say form, even if you have such adjectives before that form, a form should be there because form is a countable noun. Okay, countable noun in singular form should always be preceded by some modifier. Okay, determiner, sorry. And a article is the most preferred one. So Odissi is a young dance form. Though it has assimilated and is born of ancient temple dance traditions, music, poetry and devotion to Lord Jagannath. Okay, so Odissi is a dance form. This makes, 1 erroneous grammatically. 2, dance movement therapy uses dance and movement, promote insight, integration and well-being, as well as to diminish undesirable symptoms in various clinical populations. Let's read it again. Dance movement therapy uses dance and movement, promote. Okay, promote is the verb, right? So this is used, promote or to promote. It should be to promote. So dance movement therapy uses dance, blah, blah, to promote insight, integration, etc. So to promote should be there, which is not there, which makes 2 erroneous. Let's go to 3. Studies of professional dancers and musicians have highlighted the importance of multimodal interaction and motor related brain regions in the cerebral processing of dance and music. No error at all. Let's repeat. Studies of professional dancers and musicians have highlighted the importance of multimodal interaction, and motor related brain regions in the cerebral processing of dance and music. So it doesn't seem to be erroneous. 3 is possibly correct. 4, dance is the one time my constantly running mind goes. It should say goes. You are talking about your constantly running mind. Mind is singular here, so it should be goes. So I repeat, dance is the one time my constantly running mind goes quiet and I can just lose myself in dance with a partner without expectations. Okay, without expectation or expectation, both are okay. So one thing again, it could also be dancing. Dancing is the one time. So when he dances, it is one time. His constantly running mind goes. So 2 errors are there. Dancing goes. So 4 is wrong. What does 5 say? When I tuck myself into the safety of a wing and watch my fellow dancers, I can forego the demands of life and lose myself in steps. In whose steps? In what steps? Okay, yes, he's talking about his fellow dancers, right? So it could be either their steps or it could be his steps. That clarity is not given here. So it could be either my steps, okay, when I tuck myself into the safety of a wing and watch, which means their steps. Because he's watching his fellow dancers, he can forego the demands of life and lose myself in their steps. So it should be their steps, my dear friends, because we are talking about the author watching his fellow dancers. Okay, either it should be his steps or their steps. It has to be clarified, which is not clarified, which is why 5 is erroneous, which means 36th question, the correct answer has to be 3. Okay, with which we move to the 37th question now. Let's see what it says. Colors are powerful as it is an expression of light. It, you are saying colors here and you are saying it here. So either you should say color, a color is powerful as it is an expression of light, or you should say colors are powerful as they are an expression of light. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So colors are powerful as they are an expression of light. So this is erroneous. Okay, so subject or noun pronoun mismatch is there. It should be they. They are an expression of light. Okay, and can affect the way we feel, which means 1 is wrong. 2 says painters were employed more as skilled artisan than as creative artists. Okay, so we are saying creative artists, we are saying painters here, which means it is referring to plural subjects. So we should have artisans here. So painters were employed more as skilled artisans than as creative artists. So 2 is erroneous because artisan is wrong. It should be artisans. 3 says a silkworm larva, okay, swaths itself. Larva is singular, so it should be swaths. Swaths is like, covers. Okay, covers. Okay, so silkworm larva covers itself into a cocoon by secreting a single strand of silk 2 miles long. Interesting. So swath is wrong. Swath means cover. So it should be swaths, covers. Larva covers itself, right? That's how we get that silk, from the silkworm. So 3 is also wrong. 4 says painting is the expression of ideas and emotions with the creation of certain aesthetic qualities in a 2-dimensional visual language. So this doesn't seem to be erroneous. Painting is the expression of ideas and emotions with the creation of certain aesthetic qualities in a 2-dimensional visual language. Perfectly all right. Let's look at it later. 5 says as one of the oldest and most popular forms. As one of the oldest and most popular forms of paintings. See, whenever one of the is given, the noun that follows should be in plural form. That's compulsory. That's a rule of grammar. One of the boys, one of the girls, one of the paintings, one of the forms. So, as one of the oldest and most popular forms of painting, The history of landscape painting is fascinating and inspiring, which means 5 is also wrong. It should be forms in place of form, which means 4 is correct. It doesn't have any error. Let's read it once again. Painting is the expression of ideas and emotions with the creation of certain aesthetic qualities in a two-dimensional visual language. So there is no error in 4. So 4 has to be our answer. So 37th, the correct answer is 4, with which we move to 38th. When revamping a house, revamping means renovating, okay, renovate or refurbish, okay. So when revamping a house, homeowners often wish to get their own paint job done to saving time and money. To saving time and money, no. Okay, homeowners often wish to get their own paint job done, which means they themselves paint the stuff or paint the walls or paint the house. Why? To save money, not to saving money. It should be to save and not to saving. So 1 is wrong. 2 says, for better or for worse, the place where we grew up usually retains an iconic status. That's true. Our hometown or the place where we grow up obviously has an iconic status in our life, for better or for worse. It could be a good memory or a bad memory. So meaning part is clear. For better or for worse, the place where we grew up usually retains an iconic status. Meaning wise it's okay, and grammatical also it seems to be okay. So far as now we don't seem to have any error there. Let's look at it later after checking out the other options. 3 says, while furnished houses may have attained its popularity in higher priced and vacant listings, they now appear in all segments of real estate market. There seems to be something wrong with its. We are talking about what? Furnished houses. The houses that come with all furnishings like cot, sofa set, refrigerators, etc. That kind of house which comes with all the furniture, etc. is called a furnished house. So the subject is furnished houses. While furnished houses may have got its popularity, no, their popularity. We are talking about plural subject, so it should be their. So while furnished houses may have attained their popularity in higher priced and vacant listings, they now appear in all segments of real estate market. So originally they were higher priced and vacant, etc. But they are now there in every real estate list. So 3 is erroneous because it should be there instead of its. 4 says, we can all imagine what perfect home might look like. What perfect home might look like, and we want to put our own touches on it to make it a reflection of ourselves. There seems to be something wrong here. We can all imagine what perfect home. Home is singular, right? So it should be a home. It should be a home and not home. Okay. So let me repeat. We can all imagine what a perfect home might look like. It should be a home, and therefore 4 is also wrong. With which we go to 5th question. Choosing a floor plan is one of the biggest. Where is the? Okay, biggest. Okay, complicated. Okay, so we are talking about biggest here, which means it should be most complicated. Superlative. And biggest is superlative, so it should be preceded by the. And only one the is okay because we are talking about one decision. Okay, group of decisions. Okay. So choosing a floor plan is one of the biggest and most complicated decisions you will ever make about your home. Okay. So obviously the is missing before biggest and most is missing before complicated, which means 5 is also wrong. Okay. Which means we go with 2. So there is nothing wrong with 2. Let's read it once again. For better or for worse, the place where we grew up usually retains an iconic status. Nothing wrong with that. So 38th, 2 is the answer, with which we move to the 39th question now, which says 1. In today's super competitive business environments, you must provide customers with many ways to pay through cash, debit card, credit card, okay, and electronic cash. Okay. So in today's super competitive business environments, we are talking about what? Super competitive business environment. We are talking about one environment, right? So it should not be environments, it should be environment. Okay, so one is obviously wrong. In today's super competitive business environment, we are talking about one business environment. Okay, so you must provide customers with many ways to pay through cash, debit card, credit card, etc., etc. So one is obviously wrong. 2 says many consumers have replaced paper money altogether in favor of plastic money or plastic for buying goods and services. So here plastic obviously means debit and credit cards. So nothing wrong there. Many consumers have replaced paper money altogether in favor of plastic. Nothing wrong with 2. So 2 is possible answer. 3 says over the past few decades, handful of scholars have been laying the intellectual groundwork for no growth economics. Okay, now what is handful? Handful is something that fits in your hand. It's like a small quantity or a small number. Here, because we are talking about scholars, we are talking about number, and it is always preceded by a, because a handful is singular. Okay, otherwise you can say handfuls, which is plural. Okay, so over the past few decades, a handful, it should be a handful of scholars have been laying the intellectual groundwork for no growth economics, which means 3 is erroneous. Instead of handful scholars, it should be a handful of scholars. A is missing before handful. Let's look at 4. Technological improvements in agriculture made land far more productive before. Okay, doesn't make sense. Technological improvements in agriculture made land far more productive. More productive means comparison is there, so than is missing. Okay, technological improvements in agriculture made land far more productive than before. So 4 is wrong. Than is missing. What about 5? Adam Smith, great grandfather of capitalism. We know Adam Smith is the father of capitalism. Acknowledge that it might be possible for an economy to max out its natural resources and stop growing. So apparently this is what Adam Smith accepted. But what is the grammar error here? Do we say great grandfather or do we say the great grandfather? We say the great grandfather. The. Okay, so before great grandfather we always use the definite article the. Okay, mainly because we also have another grammar reason here. A of B phrase. Okay, grandfather or father of capitalism. So it should always be the father of capitalism. So whether it's grandfather or great grandfather, it should be the father of capitalism. So the is missing before the great grandfather. So 5 is also wrong, which means our answer has to be 2. Okay, so 39th question, the correct answer obviously is 2. With that we will move to 40th question. What does this say? Economics is the study how people allocate scarce resources for production, distribution and consumption, both individually and collectively. So what is economics? Economics is the study. Okay, of, where is of? Study is always followed by of, right? Study of how people allocate scarce resources for production, distribution, consumption, both individually and collectively. So economics is the study of. Of is missing. Okay, so 1 is obviously wrong. 2 says economics is specially concerned with efficiency in production and exchange and uses models and assumption to understand how to create incentives and policies that will maximize efficiency. Okay, so economics is what? Especially concerned with, nothing wrong there, efficiency in production and exchange and uses models and assumption. No, it should be assumptions. Okay, it uses what? Models and assumptions. Models and assumptions. So you see, for consistency, plurality is obviously supposed to be there in even with assumptions. Even here also he says incentives and policies. So it should be consistent throughout. Okay, so we can't say models and assumption. We should say models and assumptions. So 2 is again erroneous because assumptions should be there instead of assumption. 3 says Bitcoin may have brought the world blockchain, but out of the billion-dollar companies in this year's blockchain, 50 are bringing into a wide range of industries. something fishy here. Bitcoin may have brought the world blockchain. Okay, Bitcoin has brought the world blockchain. So Bitcoin has brought blockchain to the world. But out of the billion-dollar companies on this year's blockchain, okay, 50 are bringing what? Okay, perhaps Bitcoin, it into wide range of industries. Okay, so it's not Bitcoin. Okay, it is the companies that are bringing it into wide range of industries. Okay, bringing what? Not Bitcoin, bringing blockchain. Sorry. So Bitcoin has brought blockchain to us, but it is these companies that are bringing blockchain into a wide range of industries. So it refers to blockchain. So that ambiguity is there. Either we should repeat the noun itself or the pronoun here. We have to, which means 3 is wrong. I repeat, it should be 50 are okay. Out of the billion-dollar companies on this year's blockchain, 50 are bringing it or blockchain into a wide range of industries. So 3 is wrong. 4 says microeconomics tries to explain how people respond to changes in price and why they demand what they do at particular price level. Level is singular, so it should be at a particular price level. So obvious. Okay, microeconomics tries to explain how people respond to changes in price or prices. Okay, it could also be prices and why they demand what they do at a particular price level. So it should be a level. We are talking about singular level, so it should be A. So 2 is also wrong. 5 says macroeconomic studies and overall economy on both national and international level. Nothing wrong there. Okay, so 5 has to be the answer. The remaining 4 sentences are obviously wrong. With that, we come to the end of the session, my dear friends. I hope you understood everything that I discussed. Okay, I wish you all the best. Thank you. Goodbye.